Brilliance Audio.
And the Bridge is Love by David Biro. Performed by Joyce Bean. Corinna Hale removed the blanket from her tote bag and laid it down on the grass so she had a full view of the Narrows and the Verrazzano. Early morning was one of her favorite times of day, when the park was empty and quiet except for the chatter of birds and the slight traffic on the Belt Parkway. She could read in peace for an hour or so before she was due to work at the senior center. Her head still buzzed from the book she'd finished yesterday, The World According to Garp. What a wonderful cast of eccentrics and misfits, one-eyed boys, women without tongues, men walking upside down, transsexuals, asexuals. Now there was a world where she could easily fit in, she thought, glancing down at her right hand. One large thumb and two pincer-like fingers, what the doctors called a lobster claw deformity. Maybe she should send John Irving a fan letter, put in a recent picture of herself wearing her moped helmet and gloves, a flask of whiskey in her five-fingered hand. Corinna grabbed a book from her tote and lay down on the blanket. Today she had decided to go with something a bit more serious, a book she returned to again and again, Thornton Wilder's The Bridge of San Luis Rey. Not that Garp wasn't about important matters, like love, but Bridge was about all of life and love, from beginning to end, as chronicled by a Franciscan friar who had witnessed the death of 5 random strangers when an Incan rope bridge collapsed in Peru. More so than Irving, Wilder delved into the darker side of love. Even in the most perfect union, like that of the twins Manuel and Esteban, one always loved less than the other, and in this difference lay a universe of pain. Yes, that's what Corinna had always suspected, even though she had limited experience in that department, that love was overrated, toxic even. Every time she read something like Garp, which seemed to contradict that message, she went back to Wilder's unhappy twins, to douse the desire that would rekindle in her bones, to reassure herself that she hadn't missed out after all. Overhead a gull wheeled, and as she turned to watch its flight, Corinna caught sight of a large runner barreling forward along the water. She immediately thought of Hemingway and the running of the bulls in Pamplona. So stout and squat was this woman, so indelicate and fierce. God forbid someone accidentally veered into her path. Gertie's run ended as she crossed beneath the Verrazzano. She checked her watch and grinned. A better time than she expected. She walked a few steps forward, then back, shaking out her arms and legs. She reached into her fanny pack for her water bottle, poured half its contents over her head, and cried out with pleasure as water splashed coolly against her skin. The rest she drank in a single gulp. When Maria reached the path that led down to the shore, she noticed the red moped parked by the side of the road. Huffing, she scanned the park below for a sign of the crazy boy, determined to give him a piece of her mind. But all she saw was a runner under the bridge chugging water and someone reading on the grass. Maria picked up her pace, careful not to lose her balance as she descended the hill, placing one foot gingerly after another. It was then she spotted the helmet on the blanket. Could that be the Pazzo reading so peacefully, she wondered, as if he had all the time in the world? Wait, that's not a young boy, she suddenly realized. It was a woman in her middle years, late 40s or perhaps 50s, a tiny, wispy thing with an elfin blonde bob and sharp features that made Maria think of a bird, a yellow songbird. Still, this little bird was no innocent, and Maria was going to let her know what she thought of her recklessness. A voice called from behind her, and when Corinna turned, she saw a woman making a beeline for her blanket. A tall, thin, striking middle-aged woman with auburn hair. There was an elegance about her as she descended the sloping path in her floral dress, her long, slim legs moving sideways, one white espadrille after another. Her face radiated strong emotion, but at that distance, Corinna couldn't decide whether it was anger or sadness. A beautiful and tragic figure, decided Corinna, straight out of Flaubert or Tolstoy.